The year was 1884. Austin, Texas, was a city on the rise, shaking off the dust of its recent past and reaching for a brighter future. Yet, beneath the surface of progress and ambition, a darkness was brewing. On a cold December morning, the city awoke to a chilling discovery. Molly Smith, a young African-American servant girl, was found brutally murdered in her employer's home. She had been attacked in the night, her skull crushed by an axe. The city was stunned. Fear crept through the homes of Austin, a silent spectre that settled over the once peaceful community. People whispered in hushed tones, wondering who could be capable of such a horrific act. The police launched an investigation, but in the absence of modern forensic techniques, leads were scarce. The killer remained elusive, a ghost in the night. The murder of Molly Smith had cast a long shadow over the city, and the question on everyone's mind was a chilling one. Who would be next? The murder of Molly Smith was not an isolated incident. As 1885 dawned, a terrifying pattern began to emerge. Eliza Shelley, another young servant girl, was found dead in her employer's backyard. Like Molly, she had been brutally attacked with an axe while she slept. The similarities between the two murders were too striking to ignore. Both victims were young African-American servant girls. Both were attacked in their own homes, and both were killed with an axe. The city of Austin was gripped by terror. Panic spread like wildfire, fueled by the newspapers' sensationalized accounts of the killings. The police were under immense pressure to find the killer, but the investigation was hampered by a lack of evidence and the primitive forensic technology of the time. Despite their best efforts, the police seemed powerless to stop the reign of terror. The question was not if the killer would strike again, but when. As the body count rose, so too did the level of violence. Irene Cross, a cook, narrowly escaped with her life when she was attacked in her bed. Her assailant, a tall, dark figure, had plunged an axe into her skull, leaving her for dead. Miraculously, she survived and provided a chilling account of her attacker to the authorities. The attack on Irene Cross marked a turning point in the investigation. For the first time, there was a surviving victim, someone who could describe the attacker and provide vital clues. The police, desperate for any lead, clung to Irene's testimony. Her description of a tall, muscular man with a distinctive hat became the focus of their investigation. Wanted posters were plastered across the city, and every stranger was viewed with suspicion. Yet, despite the increased police presence and the heightened sense of vigilance among the citizens, the killer continued to elude capture. With each passing murder, the pressure on the Austin Police Department intensified. Citizens living in a perpetual state of fear demanded answers. The police, however, were baffled. Despite following numerous leads and arresting several suspects, they were no closer to catching the killer. The investigation appeared to be at a standstill. The lack of progress fueled frustration and anger amongst the people of Austin. Accusations of incompetence were leveled at the police, and public distrust in their ability to solve the case grew. The city council, desperate to restore order and calm the panicked populace, offered a substantial reward for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of the servant girl annihilator. Despite the reward and the increased public scrutiny, the investigation remained stagnant. The murders continued, each more brutal than the last. Section 5. The servant girl annihilator. The press, always eager for a sensational story, dubbed the unknown killer the servant girl annihilator. The name, with its chilling implications, stuck. It became synonymous with the reign of terror that gripped Austin, a constant reminder of the city's vulnerability and the unseen predator lurking in the shadows. The moniker servant girl annihilator served a dual purpose. On the one hand, it provided a tangible entity for the public to fear, a name to attach to the faceless terror that haunted their nights. On the other hand, it highlighted the killer's specific pattern of targeting, focusing on a particular demographic of young, vulnerable women working as domestic servants. The name also had the unintended effect of further stoking the flames of fear and panic. The image of an annihilator, a force bent on complete destruction, fueled the perception of the killer as an unstoppable monster. Section 6. Silence falls, the end of the terror. As suddenly as it began, the reign of terror ended. After a string of brutal murders spanning nearly 2 years, the killings abruptly stopped. The servant girl Annihilator, the phantom who had haunted Austin's nights, vanished as silently and mysteriously as he had arrived. The city, still reeling from the violence and the constant fear, breathed a collective sigh of relief. Life slowly began to return to a semblance of normalcy. The streets, once deserted after dark, gradually came back to life. The whispers of the servant girl Annihilator faded, replaced by hushed conversations of relief and cautious hope. However, the scars of the murders ran deep. The fear, though abated, lingered in the city's collective memory. Section 7. Whispers in the wind, theories and speculation. Despite the end of the murders, the identity of the servant girl Annihilator remained a mystery. Theories abounded, ranging from the plausible to the outlandish. Some whispered that the killer was a disgruntled former slave seeking revenge on white society. Others pointed fingers at a shadowy figure known only as the Midnight Prowler, a mysterious individual seen lurking near the homes of several victims. One of the more credible suspects was Malcolm Little, a man who worked as a cook for 2 families who employed victims. Little fled Austin shortly after the murders began. Despite a nationwide manhunt, he was never apprehended. His disappearance, coupled with his connection to the victims, fueled speculation about his guilt. Section 8. A city haunted. Although the immediate danger had passed, the shadow of the servant girl Annihilator continued to loom over Austin. The unsolved case became an open wound on the city's psyche, a constant reminder of its vulnerability and the fragility of peace. The murders had a profound impact on the social fabric of Austin. Mistrust and suspicion lingered, particularly towards strangers and those perceived as outsiders. The once warm hospitality of the city was replaced by a guarded reserve. People were more cautious, more aware of their surroundings, their sense of security irrevocably shattered. The murders also exposed the deep-seated racial tensions that existed in post-Reconstruction Texas. The fact that all the victims were African-American women raised uncomfortable questions about the motives of the killer and the adequacy of the police response. Section 9. Echoes in Time. The legacy of the servant girl murders. The Texas servant girl murders of 1884 to 1885 remain one of the most baffling unsolved mysteries in American history. The case continues to fascinate and horrify, captivating true crime enthusiasts and historians alike. Despite numerous investigations over the years, the identity of the servant girl Annihilator remains elusive, a testament to the cunning of the killer and the limitations of the era's investigative techniques. The case has been the subject of countless books, documentaries and podcasts, each attempting to shed light on the dark events of that era. The story of the servant girl Annihilator has become a cautionary tale, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most civilized societies. The legacy of the murders extends beyond the realm of true crime. Section 10. A mystery for the ages. The Texas servant girl murders remain a haunting enigma, a puzzle with missing pieces that continues to taunt historians and criminologists to this day. The lack of a definitive conclusion only amplifies the chilling nature of the crimes, leaving us to grapple with uncomfortable questions about the nature of evil and the randomness of violence. The story of the servant girl Annihilator serves as a stark reminder that some mysteries may never be solved. The passage of time often obscures evidence and renders witnesses unreliable. In the case of the servant girl Annihilator, the trail has long gone cold, leaving behind a legacy of fear, speculation, and unanswered questions. Despite the lack of closure, the story of the servant girl Annihilator continues to captivate and horrify. It serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of innocence, the enduring power of fear, and the limitations of our understanding of the human capacity for both good and evil.